Hey everybody, it's me Marcy. I'm live in my own kitchen today. I hoped this afternoon to show you through every stage of the gingerbread process. I know how important holiday traditions are, and we've talked so much about my holiday tradition of gingerbread for the family that I want to make sure that it's smooth and effortless for everyone. So I'm going to go through every stage of the process here, and hopefully you'll feel more confident in creating your own holiday tradition of gingerbread. You should smell my house. It's absolutely amazing in here. So I did, before I got you on here, I did mix up a batch of gingerbread dough. So what I did was, I'll post the recipe in the comments, but what I did was I took all of the wet ingredients, so the molasses, the shortening, the egg, and the sugar, and I beat that with my paddle in my KitchenAid for about 4 minutes at a high speed so that it was nice and smooth. And then I stopped it and I added the flour, the soda, the cinnamon, the ginger, and the cloves. And then I just took a fork and I sort of gave it a little bit of a stir so that the spices incorporated into the flour. And then I started the mixer up again on slow. I got it incorporated, and then I let it beat for about 5 minutes. I don't think you can overbeat it, and I always make it fresh and use it. I never chill it ahead. It's not that you can't chill it ahead, it's that if you chill it ahead, it's harder to put into the molds. And if you use chilled dough as a mixture, like let's say you've chilled your leftover dough and then you made some fresh dough, they're going to be a different color when you bake them. So I always like to use them fresh. One recipe of dough makes 2 houses, and you'll have a little bit left over for the cookies that go with. So I'm gonna place the dough into the molds and show you how to get it nice and even. I'm going to use my large scoop. This is a 3 tablespoon capacity, and I'm going to take the dough and I'm not going to pack it in there. Okay, there's a chance that if you pack it in there, you'll your gear, when you try to eject it, your scoop will slip a gear and you won't be very happy about it. So we're just going to lightly pack it in there, and so we're using a rounded scoop for each section of the cookie house. Okay, so I'll be using 6 scoops to make a single cookie house. It smells so good. I wonder what your holiday traditions are. Because ours, I've been doing this since the kids were in preschool, and it's never lost its appeal. Okay, so I've got it in the, it's just spread out. It's kind of crumbly, but all I'm gonna do is I'm just going to use my fingertips. I didn't heap it enough. So I'll use my fingertips and spread it out. So the front door is different than the back door. This is the cutest. The detail in this house is amazing. It looks like a perfect little cartoon house, and it's engineered to fit together. So putting this together is a breeze. Okay, so I've been making an album of pictures of decorated cookie houses, so I hope you've had a chance to look at those. All right, now I'm going to take my baker's roller, and I'm going to use the wide end, not the narrow end, but the wide end, and I'm going to roll it right along the edge just to make sure that it's nice and even. Everything is into all the corners, so I'm going to roll it right along the edge. So only one side of the roller fits into the mold at a time, and that's okay. Okay, so do you see the difference now? How nice and flat that is compared to the ones with the fingerprints? It makes a big difference if you have it even. And you'll notice that I haven't filled this full. You can, it doesn't hurt anything. It's a little bit harder to put together when it's full because this recipe does have baking soda in it, so it does puff up just a little bit, not much at all. So this one the end, is all sorts of shapes. So I go down each solid edge before I finally go over the whole thing, just to press it around. So as much as you try, you're not going to get them perfectly even. And that's actually an issue when you take them out of their pans. So we'll talk about that when we get to the post-baking part. All right, so I think you can do this without the baker's roller, but I think it's a really great idea to use your roller. Okay. So now all the edges are nice and crisp, and all the backs are really good and flat. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven. So I have the oven preheated to 350, and I'm gonna put them on a sheet pan. I'm using convection, and you can't fit both molds on one sheet pan, not even on the half sheet pan, which is huge. So if I didn't have convection and I wouldn't be able to use two layers, two racks at the same time, I would probably bake these just on the rack side by side in one single layer around the middle of the oven. So the next thing on our list is to make the icing. So it's royal icing that we make, and you can make royal icing a couple of ways. So if you're from the team that lets your kids eat cookie dough, then I would advise you to make the egg white version. And if you're the team who doesn't approve of cookie dough, then you want to get some meringue powder. And I know you can get that at Bulk Barn or on Amazon, and there's recipes all over where you'll meringue powder is pasteurized egg whites, and so it's a little bit safer to eat. And I have 1 1/3 cups of icing sugar in there already. I'm going to add 1 egg white, and I've got the whisk attachment, and I'm going to turn that on just slowly so that it'll start incorporating, and then as soon as it has incorporated, I'll really open it up and let it go fast, and we'll beat this for about 5 minutes, I would think. It's going to make about 3/4 cup of icing, and that's more than enough icing to put the two houses together. Okay, so while that's making, I'm going to show you the next thing. So the piping bag that comes with it is made from silicone, and the beauty of a silicone piping bag is that the heat from your hand doesn't transfer into the icing. So it creates a really great insulation between the heat from your hand and the icing. So these are professional piping bags and then some. So it's going to come with the coupler and with 3 tips. We're going to use this tip that's kind of long and narrow here. So I've got some plastic wrap. This is the neatest hack of all. Okay. Oh, it looks perfect. Did you know that icing, royal icing, can be tinted? So you could make this into colors if you wanted. It hardens like cement and it tastes terrible. So this isn't icing that you'd use for anything that you don't want, like construction-wise. It's not for decorating. Well, I guess it is for, on wedding cakes when they do those designs. Okay, so there's my pile of royal icing. And I'm going to take my plastic wrap and just fold it over top. Okay, I'll make sure that's good and sealed. And then I'll take it by the ends and I'm going to wrap it up. So I'm going to take the coupler, I'm going to push it through to the end of the piping bag. And then I'm going to take the icing and I'm going to just thread through the twisted up end. And with any luck, that'll come out the bottom. So we'll cut that off. And then we'll put the tip on, and then we'll put the ring on. There, everything screws together. It's on nice and tight. then your piping bag comes with a Twix-It clip so that you can find the end of the icing and give it a twist, and then attach the Twix-It clip so that it doesn't backfeed. So look at this. It's puffed up nicely. It is up over the sides now, and it wasn't over the sides when I put it in. So the baking soda did its thing, but you can see that they're not even. Maybe you can't see. You'll have to take my word for it. They're still a little bit lumpy. So when we take them out of their pans, there's something you need to know. So here is my nonstick cooling rack. And I'm gonna take these off the pan. The pan is roasting hot. The silicone mold won't be hot for many minutes. So I'm going to just pop those out of there. Usually I make so many at a time that I have two. And so you have the puffy side and the detailed side. So the detailed side always goes down. That's so important to note, because if you cool it with the detailed side up, that means you're turning the puffy side into the flat base. And we want nice crisp edges for our house, and so we always put the detailed side down. So that's been out of the oven for all of 45 seconds, and I'm already picking them up. That one. This one looks like it could crack, so I'm going to use a flipper. I guess you could do that all along. So this cooked for 11 minutes at 350, and it's going to be a nice soft house that if one of the kids wanted to eat it, they sure could. But it's going to have enough structural soundness to build into a house and to stay for the season. So this is how I cool it now. It's going to take, probably 15 minutes to fully cool and let the moisture come out. Now these are ready to be filled again, and I could put them right back into the oven. But more likely, if you're only making one house, you'll just put them right into the dishwasher. They clean really easy in the dishwasher. I'll take the two end pieces. Okay, you can see one's the front door and one's the back door, or the back window, I guess. And I'm gonna just pinch this hard enough that the icing is starting to come out through the saran wrap. You can imagine how easy the cleanup is gonna be when I put it in saran wrap like that. And color changing is a breeze. So there's no mess at all. So I'm gonna take the royal icing, and I'm going to pipe it from ceiling to floor on both sides here, just like that. Okay, so I'm not on the side with the detail, I'm on the inside, and I've made just two lines just like that. Now you see why we use the wide tip, because it makes a nice ribbon of icing on there. So the more icing you use, the less or the longer it's going to take to dry. Any way you look at it, you won't be able to decorate these houses as soon as you've put them together. Okay, and another thing to note is that even though I will be attaching these houses to a base so that you can, create a yard for your gingerbread, the attaching of the base comes after the house is good and solid. Okay, so you don't assemble the house with a base. All right, now we're going to look at these sides. And if you look closely, you'll see that one of the sides is sloped really quite sharp, and the other side is sloped just a little bit. Okay, so the sharp side is the roof end, and so you're going to want to make sure that the side that is flatter goes on the against the counter. Okay, so I'm going to hold up one of my ends and one of my walls, and I just really put it in there. And then I'll do the same with the other one. So make sure that you've got the detail side pointing out. Okay, so now this is at this stage of the game, it's a U shape. Okay, because we have two sides and one end. I'm going to take the other end and I'm just going to attach it as well. And once it's once the four pieces are together here, it's actually quite stable. So it is far from dry, far from it. But I think that the structure has already started to, adhere. And so I'm going to put the roof on now. So figure out which edge of the roof is the top, okay? So if you look here, you can see the little lights have been strung. There's little details where you can icing in the lights. And so make sure that you have the top pointing up on both sides. So I'm going to take my piping bag and I'm going to ice up both sides. Okay, so that's on the back, on the puffy side, and then I'm going to do where the birds sit. And I put quite a bit on where the birds sit, okay? And then, this is hard to do without getting your fingers all full. All right, and then with this one, we go up the sides, and then just a little bit along where the birds sit, okay? So take your two pieces and put where the birds sit together, and look, just like mesh them, marry them. All right, so now they're starting to attract to each other. Now I can just tip it and set it right on the walls, and then I can put my cans against the roof so that it doesn't slide down. Now this is going to dry for probably 4 hours before I want to move it. And honestly, it would be tomorrow before I glued it to a board, and later that day before I let the kids decorate it. So, plan your time wisely. There's no rush in a gingerbread house because it's not going to be structurally sound to decorate for quite a few hours. And the more icing that you use, the longer it takes. All right, so I'm going to leave it sit just like this for about 4 hours, and I'm going to check on it halfway just to make sure that everything is squarish. It's a cartoon looking house. It's not supposed to be square, but I do like to make sure that the walls haven't caved in under there or, anything like that. So there's a lot of things you can do with your cookie house. I've made, back here, I've got a sugar cookie house, and it's super cute decorated. We've got a glass house. All you do is you lay Jolly Ranchers into the molds and you bake them at 350 until they are melted, and then you set them outside in the cold, and and for sure use sheet pans for that. And you set them outside in the cold, and then you pop them out like ice cubes, and I attached it together with a glue gun because we're not going to eat it anyway. So so the cookie house looks like this when it's done. I have a whole album of examples of decorated cookie houses, so I hope that you'll take a minute to have a look at some of them for inspiration. You can do Halloween houses, spooky Halloween houses. The Christmas gingerbread, of course, is most popular, but I hope that we'll come out with other cookie mats, like for Valentine's Day or for Easter, and we'll have houses all across the year. So I hope you found this informative. It is a super easy process if you get some practice, give yourself some time, and hopefully it's one of those traditions that your kids will remember even once they become adults and have kids of their own. So anyway, I hope you're having a great day, and I hope your holiday traditions will soon include gingerbread. Take good care, everyone.